talk about costs and returns on vineyards, right? I do this for a living, not for fun. I mean, it is fun, but I still need to make a living from it. So this is what I really care about. So I'm going to go over financials for what would be kind of a typical Oregon vineyard, because that's kind of what I really know. So these financials are going to change from system to system, but this would be like an operation growing kind of high-end fruit in Oregon. So the vast majority of our costs are going into people, right? So over 80% in this case are going into wages and benefits. And then actually only 5% are things like sprays and snips and clips and whatever, all the little bits and bobs that we need to farm. And then, of course, the government gets its beak wet with taxes. So what's driving those costs? Sorry, I don't know why the percentages are cut off here. That's not great. What's driving the costs are these things. So this is an Oregon vineyard, so this is going to change from system to system. But like in an Oregon vineyard, generally it's going to be like pruning and training is going to be a pretty gnarly cost. Harvest will be a huge cost in an Oregon system, but as well as all your canopy management. So oftentimes it's like canopy management, harvest, and pruning are your biggest cost sinks. So again, and that's all due to wages and benefits. So if we can do it with machines and we can do it cheaper and maintain quality with machines, then that's what we're going to do, right? So this is kind of how it looks when you lay out a vineyard. So generally in year one, when you're doing all the year zero and year one. So year zero is all the land prep, and then year one being when you put actual vines in the ground. It's going to cost you about $12,000 to $15,000. Really, it's actually kind of more like $14,000 to $17,000 at this point. And then year two, the costs go down, but you still got to do things like you're installing trellis and all that stuff. So it costs you about $7,000 to $9,000 truly. These numbers are actually a little old. And then by year three, it's going to cost you roughly $4,000 an acre to farm it, and then it's just going to go up a little bit as well. By year four, and year five, you're going to be farming it at about $6,000 to $8,000 a year. So, but by year three, you've put in about $20,000 to $30,000, and it's actually probably more at this point, around $25,000 to $35,000, $40,000 per acre to put a vineyard in, like in the North Willamette Valley of Oregon. So here's kind of how it looks. This is a sunny outlook for a vineyard, where I put together, this is like you're growing Pinot Noir in the North Willamette Valley, and you're getting kind of higher than average prices for your fruit, and your prices are going up, not just stagnating. So, and then also this is assuming like higher yields than what many dogmatic winemakers would like to see in the North Willamette. So this is a pretty sunny outlook, and so down here you see cumulative returns, right? So here we've dumped $12,000 into the property. Now we're just going negative because we're not cropping until year three. And at year three, we're cropping at 0.5 tons per acre. And then we're increasing our tonnages until year six. And year six, we're finally cropping at a full yields at 3.5 tons per acre. But with this cash flow, we can see we don't get net positive cash returns until year 11. Okay. And this isn't accounting for initial land price, because that's an asset that you're building equity with. It doesn't include machine purchases, which is going to cost you about $76,000, $7,600,000, depending on the size of the property. It doesn't include things like the capital needed to like build tractor sheds, anything like that. Doesn't account for management salary. So this is basically you're farming it, without accounting for your own time, which is what a lot of people do. Yeah, and it's assuming higher than average prices for North Atlantic Pinot, higher than average yields, and tonnage-based contracts. So this is a really sunny outlook, and you're only getting a net positive return year 11. And the reality is, once you account for opportunity costs, you're never going to make money on a contract vineyard. Okay? So what's the point? The point is plant a vineyard for your children, plant an olive grove for your grandchildren. This is an old Italian phrase. And that's kind of what these things are. So vineyards are really just kind of assets that we can either, we can sit on them for a while, build equity, and then sell them and make a profit on the sale. Or it's a way for us to pass down generational wealth without getting taxed heavily by the government. And so a lot of people do that. They'll buy stuff, they'll buy up farms and assets, and then transfer those assets to their heirs in order to maintain wealth, generational wealth. Okay? And this is, so Red Ridge Farms, in fact, has both olives and grapes on their property. So they're definitely living by this old Italian phrase. But yeah, we don't make a ton of money on this. So when you go out to Napa, Sonoma, and you see all these fancy wineries, and you think, people are really crushing it in this industry, think again. It's oftentimes smoke and mirrors, and what I would consider like false fronts. It's like you're at Disney World. You're not actually seeing what's behind the scenes, which is pretty dire financials. Okay, cool.